When I was 20 to 23, I was in my first somewhat long-term relationship, and my first relationship in which we lived together. It was a bit rocky. We both caused a lot of problems in the relationship, but we finally broke up when I found out my boyfriend had been cheating on me regularly. He had also been lying about working an unpaid internship that would have transitioned to a job, which allowed him to spend hours going out with other women and excused his lack of income. So I was partly supporting him financially along with his mom, who he was also lying to. Even though my relationship with him was never stable, his mom loved me and would often openly take my side when we were fighting. She had 4 sons and no daughters, and she told me she considered me the daughter she never had. So when the cheating and lying was uncovered, it wasn't hard to get her to take my side. She was the person I went crying to, and I told her that this is the sort of thing you cry about to your mom. And since I don't have a relationship with my own mom, I was glad she was there for me to talk to. She was, of course, furious with him for lying to us both, effectively scamming us out of our money, and for cheating on me. Even when he complained to her about everything I had done wrong in the relationship, she refused to believe him because in her eyes, I could do no wrong. She sat him in front of a computer and made him apply for jobs in front of her, then supervised his job search process the way one might supervise a child cooking for the first time. Once he found a job, she made him pay us both back for the money we spent supporting him while he was lying to us. After he had finished paying us back and moved out of her place, she spoke to him rarely and was very clear that she no longer trusted him. She even warned his next girlfriend that he was a cheater, and from what I've since heard, she was right to, as he has apparently cheated on other girlfriends since. She and I remained close until she passed away 2 years ago. She was one of the maybe 3 people I've ever felt I could be truly vulnerable with. She was the only person I told about a particularly difficult mental health situation I was going through. And I really did start to see her as a surrogate mother. Story 2. Person next to me on a plane kept violating my personal space. I was flying in the window seat because I like looking out the window. The woman sitting next to me reached in front of me multiple times to close the window shade. She never asked me, she just reached directly in front of me to close the shade. I would immediately reopen it, and a few minutes later she would reach in front of me again to close it. It was a noon domestic short-haul flight, so no reason to need darkness in the middle of the day. And absolutely no excuse for violating my personal space multiple times without asking me, or acknowledging me, or treating me like a human in any way. So I pulled out my book and turned on the reading light, despite there being ample natural light from the open window for me to read. I then positioned my hands in such a way that my watch would reflect the reading light directly into her eyes. I read like that for an hour, jiggling my hand the entire time, so it would shine the light back and forth across her eyes and be super distracting and annoying. Once we landed and she took her headphones off, I turned to her and said, "Next time you fly, book a window seat if you want to control the window. Or at least treat me like a human and ask me before you violate my personal space. What you did is unbelievably rude." She looked so offended, and naturally she walked to IPIH. Being a city walker, I easily got in front of her. Then once we were on the moving walkway, I stopped immediately in front of her. Did the same on the escalator to the curb, before flipping her off the entire way to my ride. Update. I want to make a slight clarification that I was subtly flipping her off by extending my middle finger while holding the handle of my bag, so it was upside down, and you only would have noticed if you were looking at my hand. It wasn't like I was just holding it up to her face. I was angry, and it was a subtle way for me to voice my anger and get it out of my system. Story 3, I got my bully expelled from high school. My first interaction with the bully was in 9th grade. He failed 9th grade and had to repeat it. We were not only in the same class, but we were also put sitting together. The guy bullied me for being gay, overtly skinny, smart, basically anything you can think of. There was also some physical violence, as well as some sexual innuendos. He grabbed my butt a couple times and would rub his genitals to catch my attention. At the time, I strongly believed he was gay, and today I have the confirmation. The following year, we both moved on to 10th grade. One afternoon at the end of chemistry class, the whole class was acting out of control, so the teacher called the principal, who punished us by keeping us in the classroom for 10 minutes, shutting the door and staying outside the room. In an act of rebellion, I hit the door really hard with my palm. The teacher heard it and came back inside to give me something I can translate as a red absence. It's a harsh form of punishment for bad behavior. Worse than this is suspension and expulsion. The next day, the head teacher assigned to our class asked us about what happened. At this point, for whatever surprising reason, most of my classmates had had enough with this guy's bullying and didn't seem to like him anymore. So, they all told me to tell the teacher that me and him hit the door together and they would support me. As a result, the bully also got a red absence. He got heavily upset to the point of calling his father to the school to talk to the principal. I was asked to make a statement in front of his father, and I lied to this father with a straight face. A few months later, the bully got himself in another problem. He was making money-piercing ears after school inside school premises. One teacher found him doing this and got another red absence. 2 red absences in the same year means expulsion. He got expelled and I was left with one less bully. Story 4, my ex-fiancé refused to respect my boundaries, so I married his best friend. Back in 2019, I had just moved my long-term partner into my house due to a series of poor life choices on his end. It had been a rocky relationship for most of its duration, but I was young and dumb. I believed this was him wanting to commit and truly start our lives. By early 2020, we were engaged. I was a full-time university student, sole caretaker for my mentally disabled mother, and taking care of the house and our pets. He worked a standard 40-hour-a-week, minimum wage job and refused to help with any aspect of life. I found out on Christmas Day 2020 he had been unfaithful and had forgotten to tell me. He was planning on leaving me but had informed everyone except for me because he was failing to secure a new residence. Apparently his fudge buddy didn't like him enough to let him move in. At this point, it was very little love lost, and I expected he would be moving out within the coming weeks. Fast forward 3 entire months, and his search for a living place was non-existent, and he was acting more and more entitled. Clearly by this point, he is an unwelcomed freeloader who has taken up residence in my living room. I was about to secure an eviction notice to get him off my couch. He began swiping Tinder with his phone volume loudly on. I told him to not do that in my presence as it was highly insensitive to do in my home, and he could do it in private. This continued, so I told him I would sleep with one of his friends. It was said in a moment of anger, and was more of an empty threat at the time. However, I am known for seeing goals to their completion. I messaged the guy who was supposedly my ex's best friend and the best man for the wedding. It turns out he didn't even consider my ex a close friend, and my ex had acted similarly terrible to this guy previously as well. We bonded over our terrible experience, hit it off really well in general, and started dating. I was upfront about what the catalyst for me to reach out to him was. After 2 years of dating, we were married April 2nd. He watched me graduate with that bachelor's degree my ex disliked, I'm halfway through my master's, and my husband works in a specialized, steady field that supports us. Last I heard, my ex got kicked out of his dad's house, never was able to officially date his side chick, and has not made any choices to better his life. Story 5, use me? Cheat on me? Enjoy losing your friends and family, and have fun being ignored at work. Bonus points for possibly become homeless. I just found out 2 days ago that my boyfriend of 4 years is gay. Our relationship was a lie. He used me to cover his sexuality because he wasn't ready to expose himself. He told me that himself. He pretended to love me for 4 years. He acted like the perfect boyfriend for 4 years. We were discussing marriage and kids. He even took me to looking at engagement rings. All while he was having an affair with a man. To top all that, his boy toy called me 2 hours after I walked in on them. Why? To tell me that he was bi and we could all just be together? Are you kidding me? IDK he was making fun of me, or if he was really stupid enough to think that was a good idea. But yeah, if you're gay but act straight, I effing hate you. What's worse is that my family believes I should have been nicer to him because gay people have it rough enough already. So because he's gay then I can't be mad, I can't be angry, I need to be nicer to him? After his boy toy called, I texted my now ex if he was seriously making fun of me, and he just said that it wouldn't be a bad idea. So I lost it. His mom and I were very close, so I texted her a lengthy message explaining what happened, and I told her that I can't stay in contact with her, at least not for the time being. She was shocked but understanding of why I need to go no contact. Well, his parents disowned him, not for being gay but because of what he did to me. The idiot went on social media to complain that his parents disowned him for being gay, but multiple family members commented and exposed him for the shitty human being that he is. Some of his coworkers had him on FB and TikTok and they saw everything, and now no one at work talks to him because of what he did to me. His friends were disgusted when they found out. His friends always liked me, and they're also really big on monogamy, so they didn't want to be friends after they learned the truth. He needs to move out because we live together, and now he can't afford rent on his own. But his budget is very tight, so he doesn't have many options. And they broke up. My ex had a fit when his mom called him. In retaliation, he broke the TV, my laptop, cut some of the clothes I still had at the apartment, and smashed the coffee machine. So yeah, his boyfriend didn't like his outburst, and he ended things.